Alrighty guys, we are in Kingston, a little town in Tasmania, all the way down south in Australia, and we are here at the Muir factory. These guys make anchoring systems, and it's an exciting day because we get to see how it all goes down just in that building right behind us.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, mate. Yeah. Come on through.
I'm still tangled.
So what we do here is we make winches from scratch here. So, you know, we can go and have a bit of a look.
Yeah, let's have a squeeze.
We've got CNC lathes on the left here, right? They've been around for quite a while. But on the right here, we've got a brand new lathe, which we invested in just quite recently, like within this year.
What's CNC mean?
It's sort of computer numerically controlled.
Right, okay, yeah.
It just means that it's automated by, you know, you run a computer program to make the actual parts. You know, they put the part in, you know, and they basically push a button and the machine knows what to do.
Yeah.
But the level of sophistication has grown greatly so that on this machine it can actually make multiple parts.
You can see here the end result.
Yeah, you can just feed it one of these rods, and at the moment it's making little bushes, and they just kind of pop off in here when they're done. Can I grab one? And it'll just pop these out of that rod there. It's a pretty intricate little piece, but this box is just full of them. So it's crazy that you don't have to manually reload it or anything like that, it'll just pump them out.
The other thing we recently did was we had to renew all the crane runways and put 2 new gantry cranes up there.
So is that how you just move the parts around the workshop when
Exactly, and they're 2-ton cranes and there's 2 of them, whereas we used to have one 1-ton crane. So
yeah, okay.
Big improvement. Sitting over here, we've got a couple of big shafts. If you can imagine how big the winch is that those shafts
So
go
is that going towards something that you'd put in like the super yachts or something?
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
then?
We'll have a look down here.
I'm pretty keen to see some of the... So one thing that Muir does is they not just do little boats like we old NAKAMA, but they do huge... Are they still called?
Anchor winches.
They're still called... There's no special
winches.
name for it
No.
super yachts and stuff like that. So there's no fancy names, but I'm sure they're a fancy product.
On the left here we have CNC milling machines, right? So a lathe deals with stuff that turns, you know? And so it basically has to be, you know, something that's round, you know? Right? Whereas a mill has a turning head and it can sort of mill, say, that surface or something. So these are 2 CNC mills here on the left.
So when you're lathing, and what happens to all the shavings?
Yeah, they end up in a bin like this.
In the big drum there, yeah.
You're asking about the big winches, right?
So
these ones here are actually for the offshore patrol vessels, the Australian Navy patrol vessels, right?
Yeah.
That's a 22,000 size. These ones get cast in Sydney and shipped down here, and then we machine them. We've got a big...
That's an interesting piece of kit, hey?
Yeah. Like some of our gear is pretty old, like this lathe would be like 50 years old, you know? And but that's our biggest lathe, so that can do our biggest winches. So on the left here is the production line, basically for winch such as the one that would go on the NAKAMA. Is built here, right? You know, you have a look down here, you'll see various winches in various stages of construction. And these are all verticals, like I'm assuming you have one that goes through the deck. Yeah. And on these benches we make the horizontals like this.
Right. So what's the thought process between the horizontals and the verticals?
So the word vertical means that the shaft is vertical. Horizontal means the shaft is horizontal. And basically these are used where you don't have as much space in your anchor locker, or you prefer not to have a lot of penetrations through your deck. So a lot of boats quite a few yachts will have these. This gives you about a foot more fall than if you've got a vertical going through the deck.
An interesting point. This is actually really, really cool so far. I love seeing all this machinery and everything like that, and I just absolutely froth the fact that this is still happening here in Australia and it's still getting handmade and everything like that. It's really cool to see.
So this is the mega assembly. Basically, we go up to a size called 4,000, which is a recreational winch. And then the next size up is a 4,500, which is that one there. That's a 4,500, so that goes on maybe a 80-footer.
So that's the biggest recreational size.
These ones sit halfway between the production line and the mega. Whereas all of this sort of gear is bigger mega winches, and most of the parts that you see here are actually machined by us here. You know? So these are stainless steel gypsies.
Yeah. How's the size of the chain link that'd go in there?
Well, that's a small one, mate. Come on.
And this is what, for just all your hand closing them off?
Most of the hand wheels you see are for brakes, right? So if we come over here to this 4500, Simon.
Yeah.
So what happens is that the gypsy sits on here.
Yeah.
And the gypsy has a brake drum built into it, and the brake grips that, and then you have a handle on here
On there.
to tighten or loosen the brake.
So is that similar brake pad to what it'd be like in a car, or?
It's similar
Like
sort of
similar?
material, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But they get quite big, you know, like the bigger winches have very big brake pads.
Oh, yeah.
These are gearboxes. That's for a big, like a 22,000, like those big
The ones at
capstans
the
that we're
front.
looking at.
So when you say gearbox, you just mean forward and reverse, or do they have like a few speeds?
No,
or?
this is just a reduction box, right? So it's sort of, you know, you put in at 1500 RPM on your motor, and it comes out at, 10 RPM to wind your winch.
Sure.
Because you can't wind your winch at the full speed of the motor. And then just out the back here is our fabrication shop, okay? So
Right.
a couple of interesting things out here.
Oh, that's cool.
A big drum winch, right? So the concept of a drum winch is that you wrap the chain or the rope or the wire rope onto the drum rather than having to put it in an anchor locker. So if you're doing a boat that has no anchor locker, then you need a drum winch. You know?
And you see that like commonly on trawlers and stuff like that. That's,
absolutely, yeah. We do quite a lot of these, but we do a lot also of little ones for little boats. So they use drum winches on like a little tinny, 5 or 6 metre tinny.
Yeah. So do you do all marine then? Next question.
Well,
are you
99%. And then every now and then someone asks us to do something
in
not marine,
agriculture or something like that?
Yeah. Well, even then mostly they're marine. For example, we do a lot of small winches for the aquaculture people, you know, whenever they want to do anything with their fish farming stuff.
Yeah.
Little Muir winch that lifts gates up and down or that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
We do our own painting here, so we've got painting booth and a clean-up booth over here. And then out the back here, just before we go past, this is interesting because this is offshore patrol vessel size stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's the chain stopper, which gets built into a device the chain goes through, and you have a pawl that comes down and locks the chain, right?
Yeah.
So
is that like an emergency brake?
Yeah, when you have to prove up a winch performance, you have to test the winch for 40% of the chain braking load,
right,
or 45%, but the actual chain stop has to do like 80% of the chain braking load. So if you think about the size of some of these chains have a link this big, and you've got to pull 80% of the braking load
onto something
and make sure that this doesn't fail.
Yeah.
That's sort of unbelievable.
So is that solid?
That's solid plate, yeah.
Plate, yeah. The welds are better than mine.
So out the back here we've got testing. This is a testing rig. We can either lift weights or we can just use the rams to actually apply a load. So when we have to do our 40% load on a winch, we do it here.
Wow.
You can see the sort of size of chains that we're doing, you know, like some of them are quite big.
So how much pressure before that chain goes bang?
Heaps, mate.
Heaps, yeah. That's insane.
You know, hundreds of tonnes. You know?
Yeah, and what, do you make the chain or?
No, we don't make the chain. No, we buy the chain.
Yeah.
Chain is a very commoditised product. So, you know, once you've designed a link, that's it. It's the same for 100 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of it these days is getting made in Asia just because it's very high volume, commoditised, low margin sort of production.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of new IP that goes into a chain. You know?
No.
This is a big horizontal commercial winch here, unfortunately under wraps because it's been painted and it's waiting for delivery. But you know, you can see the chain here. So that's the gearbox and the gypsy hanging off the gearbox, right? And a hydraulic motor rather than an electric motor.
Right.
So effectively a lot of our stainless steel winches are polished to mirror polish quality, especially for the big mega yachts. You know? And Lyndon here is working on polishing a gypsy that's going to Europe, to one of the big mega yacht manufacturers in Europe, right? So how are we going, mate? When are we shipping these out, Lyndon? Today, yeah, today. So Lyndon doesn't normally do this. He's normally like fabricating, and he's also the manager of the workshop here. So I don't know, what have you done? 30 years?
Yeah.
30 years with Muir.
30, it's a solid innings. So how long has Muir been here, operating out of this factory?
About 1978.
Has it always been this premises here, or?
No, if you go down to Battery Point there, you'll see the Muir boatyard, right? So Muir was started by John Muir, who was the son of Jock Muir, who used to build boats at Battery Point.
That shipyard there.
So they actually used to build the winches initially down there at Battery Point. So that's 55 years ago now, so And then after about sort of 10 years, they moved out
here.
Kingston here.
Yeah. Cool.
It's just a bit wet here, but this is the...
It's a nice day in Tassie. No.
So this is where we test those chain stoppers.
Ah, sweet.
Right, so we pull the chain stopper to 80% of the braking load of the chain.
Yeah.
And we decided to, this is new as in the last year or two, because we decided to put it inside a container for safety reasons. It used to be sitting over there where the guys are.
So don't walk past.
You don't want to be. You don't want to be in here when this is doing, 100 tons of pull.
Yeah.
Imagine what 80% braking load on that chain is.
So dealing with like the super yacht market, do you have any really crazy requests? Any like crazy customization requests? Or
I think fundamentally, the big boat market, like the mega yachts and super yachts, is very much a customizable sort of concept where it's a project industry. You get an order.
Yeah.
Might be $500,000,
Yeah.
And you've got to build 2 winches and 2 capstans, and they're built on sort of standard base designs, but they're customisable to what the owner wants, right? So there's a lot of people now asking for a integrated bollard and capstan. So this is not the anchor winch, but you have a bollard where you wrap the rope around when like a cleat, right? Big cleat.
Yeah.
Well, now they want one arm of that bollard to be a motorised capstan.
Right.
So we had to completely design a whole new bollard that you could wrap the ropes around, but also had a capstan built into it.
So they can use that.
So they can pull the rope in, So we've now done a couple of those, and we can do a lot of that stuff, which is something that a lot of our competitors really can't do,
Because you can actually assemble.
Because we're doing it here, we can build what they want, basically. I think one of the things that sort of sets Muir apart is the fact that we've been able to build a culture in the place, a culture of the team of people being really proud about what they do. And so when we, supply a Fedship boat in the Netherlands, for example, sort of like the top super yacht, mega yacht in the world, our people here can say, we're building something in Kingston, Tasmania that's getting shipped off to Europe.
I mean, the reason I was so keen to come in today is because you don't often get to see this. So much of this happens offshore now. So,
exactly. And we're building, people like Bono's boat's got a Muir winch. Steve Jobs, I know Steve's gone, but anyway, Steve Jobs' boat's got Muir winches.
NAKAMA's going to have one.
NAKAMA.
All the best vessels.
Of course.
But that's really awesome.
Who says NAKAMA's a small boat, hey? But,
The Muir family is a historic boating family in Tasmania. So Jock Muir built a number of Sydney to Hobart winners. Like if you go down to Constitution Dock there, there's Westwood, which is a winner from 1948, built by Jock Muir, and then he had several sons, one of them being John Muir, and John started the anchor winch business at Battery Point in 1968. And then in the late 70s they shifted it to here, and John stayed with the business right up to 2011. He sold it to a private equity firm, but stayed involved. And then in 2016 I bought the business alongside the managing director at the time. As a partner, we bought the business from the private equity firm. So I've been here 8 years now.
Wow.
It's got a proud history, 55-year history, and I guess that says something about the quality of the product and the quality of the team members.
100%, yeah. Thanks heaps, Andrew. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Simon.
Thanks, Andrew.
Sophie's here, Here's the shaving spin. Oh, how's that for a shaving?